the volleyball court, I think we should work on that. No! Why don't you lease up the property? How do you deal with hard times? As many of you know, I've built a sizable real estate portfolio, over $500 million, over 5,000 doors. It hasn't always been easy, right? And there were a lot of adversities that came my way, and a lot of things I've been having to unwind and fix over the past couple of years, not just at a small level. This is high level, big dollar amounts across many different properties, projects, all that kind of stuff. A lot of the deals that I got into were through joint venture partnerships where I brought the money, I signed on a loan, and that person was responsible for doing the work. And guess what happens? When the tide goes out, you know what they say, see who's swimming naked. And you really find out how people respond in tough times. And I get questions from friends and business people, like, how do you navigate tough times, these rough waves that can come in business? And so that's what this video is all about. This video is going to give you some tools that, dude, if you're just getting clobbered and you feel like you're in the trenches taking on fire, these are a couple of tools that I've used in my own personal life and in growing my business that have made a big impact for me. So the first thing is getting your head straight, right? Number one, head straight. How do you do that? For me, it starts with vitamin G, gratitude. It's easy to focus on all the shit that's happening and all the difficulties that are upon you. Feels like the sky is falling. And the reality is, our problems, typically there's other people in the world, and more often than not, who are praying for your problems today, right? You got a lot of really good things going on. You're just not focused on those things. And when you're focused on the tough stuff, when you're focused on the stressful items, that's what gets your attention. That's what gives you anxiety. That's what messes up your ability to then problem solve against those, because you're just worried about the negativity. Fear and faith are the same thing. Both are believing in some future thing that has not yet occurred, right? And it's just a story in our head. The difference is one's positive and one's negative. If you're fearful, you're focused on the negativity and all those things that, again, have never happened. It's just a story in your head. The beauty of that is that you can control the story. It's a story in your head. So it's up to you whether you go negative or you go positive on it. And an exercise that I do in order to stay positive is focus on the gratitude. Every day, write down what you're thankful for in 3 different categories. What you're thankful for from your family and other positive relationships in your life, what you're thankful for from a relationship standpoint, and what you're thankful for in the business side of things too. We all have things that we're thankful for, that we can show gratitude for, where there's these blessings in our lives that we need to not overlook, and we need to focus on those. And if you focus on gratitude, if you focus on the positive things happen in your life, it gives you a sense of confidence. It gives you a sense of strength. And now you can go and start attacking the problematic portions of your business with a little bit more posture, right? Have your chest puffed out a little bit more, have a little bit more confidence in order to attack those things, and come from a place where you're like, you know what? I'm actually super blessed, and this is a good problem to have. All right, second thing that I would do is to back to the basics. There are certain activities in your business that got you to where you are today, in a good way. Then there are other things that you're allowed to come in and crowd out the things that got you to where you are. And a lot of times those distractions, those noises, got you away from the basics, right? Like when I was playing sports in high school, my coach would start out every single season focused on the basics. Dribbling, passing, shooting layups. And so those are the things that we focused on in order to become an expert at those things. Then you can build upon those skill sets and add in a little bit of the sizzle effect, right? But getting back to the basics, or what are the activities that got you to where you are today? Almost every single time in business, it's prospecting in some capacity, right? Back to the basics of prospecting. Well, I had somebody else doing this, I had somebody else doing that. I have all this social media stuff going on, or I have all this other marketing stuff going on, and I'm waiting for people to knock on my door. No, when times are tough, when things are difficult, you can't be fishing. Dude, you need to be in hunt mode. You need to be going after the prey. When you're in hunting mode, you're going after the prey, you have more control over that. A lot more control, rather than just waiting and hoping and praying for something to bite your line. So you're in hunting mode, you're out there knocking on doors. Maybe literally knocking on doors. Right? I got a buddy, Shy, who has a construction business in California, and all the other construction companies, all the other home repair companies, you know what they're doing? They're sending out flyers, they're sending out paper mailings, they're running ads on social media, they're doing robocalls, and they're doing email blasts, and that can work. And that can be a great way to scale your business if things are moving along and going in a positive direction already. You know what he does to differentiate himself? He has his sales guys knocking on doors. And they do a bunch of exterior work. So it's siding, it's roofing, it's windows, it's landscaping, it's concrete work. Those kinds of things that you can visibly see. And he knows that person already has a need. They knock on the door. Hey, I notice your sidewalks are turned up. Hey, I notice your driveway's crumbling. Hey, I notice your windows are all fogged up. Hey, I notice your roof shingles are coming loose. Hey, I notice your siding looks a little bit thirsty. And he's able to go in, insert the pain, and these people are not out there calling up 5 different construction companies in order to get quotes. Oh shoot, if this random stranger noticed that I have issues with my house, I wonder what all my neighbors are thinking. And they say, hey, will you come out, will you give me a quote? They give them a quote the same day, and they have people on site the next day doing the work, turning it over. And he's taken a business that was started less than 12 months ago, and they're generating $300,000 a month in gross rev right now, in less than 12 months. Why? Because he got back to the basics. All right, number 3 kind of compounds onto number 2. Back to the basics. You know what I'm focused on when I say what's back to the basics? In business, revenue solves all problems. So you need to focus on the revenue line. What is the revenue line? The revenue lines are things that directly impact your income. Things that you can directly show make you money. Maybe that's you have a bunch of aged payables. You know what's a revenue generating activity? Is calling everybody who owes you money to get them to pay their friggin' bills. That is a great revenue generating activity that you could be focused on to get some money in the door. Once money's in the door, you can hire people. Once money's in the door, you can pay for marketing. Once money's in the door, you can do all the things and spend all the other money. But revenue is the lifeblood of a business. If you don't have revenue coming in, you're in trouble. And so you gotta focus on the revenue line. Every degree away from the revenue line you get, the less money you're making. So get rid of 3rd degree, 2nd degree, even 1st degree. Revenue line and 1st degree action items are the only things that you should be focused on when things are tough. I own rental property, right? When things are difficult, and we're talking to the on-site management team, I'm not talking about the signage, right? I had one property manager. It's like, hey, if we cleaned up the volleyball court, I think we should work on that. No, why don't you lease up the property? I had another management company reach out to me and say, hey, listen, we need some money because we want to do this, this, and this. I said, listen, there's 25 vacant units that are all rent ready at $900 a month. That's $22,500 of monthly revenue that we're missing out on that could pay for the thing that you're asking me to contribute money for. How about you do your job? Let's get back to the revenue line and focus on generating revenue. Right? Those are the things that actually matter. In my business, it's collections, right? Making sure that people who owe me money are actually paying me money, and it's leasing. Those 2 things are revenue generating activities. Maintenance is important, right? Especially if somebody paying their bill is dependent upon some sort of maintenance being done in their apartment, but it's not a revenue generating activity in most scenarios, right? In that one that I just gave, it is, but in most scenarios, maintenance is not a revenue generating activity. A lot of the other ancillary operational types things are not revenue generating activities. It's leasing and collections. And I obsess over that. That's the KPI that we measure with our site level property managers and leasing agents every single week when we hop on a phone call with them. Because and I don't measure all the other KPIs, those two. Because I want them psycho focused on those two metrics, because the more focused they are on those two metrics, the more focused they are on the revenue line, the more money is going to be generated, and then we can fix the volleyball court, and then we can add some additional amenities that the management company wants to add once the revenue is there. Number 4. Hey, this might be revolutionary, but it's do the work. I want to be an entrepreneur with washboard abs who lives in Bora Bora and only works 2 hours a day. That shit doesn't exist, right? My wife is like, well, I thought entrepreneurs get to never work and can do this and can do. I was like, no, no. I mean, we have freedom of ability to be able to go places and do things, and yeah, when times are good, we can absolutely scale back on the amount that I work. But guess what? Everything's cyclical. Everything's boom or bust. Everything's up and down. Right now, right at this time when I'm having this conversation with my wife, things aren't going as smoothly as we would like them to go. And guess what? I need to do the work. I need to be prospecting for investors. I need to be prospecting for deals. I need to be prospecting for buyers of our existing product. I need to be prospecting for better management companies. I need to be prospecting for better site level employees. I need to be prospecting all the time, getting back to the basics and doing the work. Not handing it off to somebody on my team, not handing it off to a VA, not handing it off to some third party to do the work, because nobody's going to do it the way that you do it. Right? Nobody's going to care about it the way that an owner is going to care about it. There's a book out there that my dad told me about called Management by Walking Around. Nothing does management, nothing does the work like just being there, like showing up, walking around. Hey, there's litter on the ground, and picking up the litter. Hey, there's a car on cinder blocks. Let's get that towed. Hey, this grass is too high. Let's get it cut. Where's the landscaper? What's going on? It's management by walking around. If you are not there, if you are not doing the work, it's reflective of you. It's not reflective of your team. You need to be the one leading by example. Otherwise, why would you expect your team to do that for you? It's you, as the owner of your business, need to start out and be representative of what leadership looks like. And that's doing the work. And finally, the 5th thing that I would say is give yourself the gift of a community or some sort of mentorship. You know, for me, what was reflective in that was joining masterminds. When you're inside the frame, you can't see the whole picture. And that's a very, very typical feeling when you're going through tough times, when you're going through difficulties in business. You're so ingrained and inside this box that you can't see out of it. You're just trying to keep your head above water and keep breathing, that you can't see the big picture, right? When you give yourself the gift of community, when you have a mentor, when you have somebody that you can have a conversation with who can be objective and not emotionally tied to the outcome, they can give you a much better perspective on what the next chess move needs to be. They can give you a much better indication of saying, hey, I know this is tough with this employee. They got to go. You need to bring in somebody new. If you move this piece over here, right? They can see the higher level perspective because they can see the whole field, right? If you're in one of those fall corn mazes and you're trying to figure it out, but you're inside the maze. You need that person who's up on the elevated platform looking in, saying turn right, turn left, in order to help you navigate your way out of the shitstorm. And that's the exact same thing when you're going through tough times. And unfortunately, what I see too often as somebody who's part of multiple masterminds, and I run a mastermind, is that when times get tough, people usually bail. This is one of the expenses that they cut. When times get tough, you need to be going deeper into the community. You need to be having more conversations with your mentors. You need to be more engaged, not less engaged. You don't get rid of that. You dive deeper into the community, into people who actually care for you, and want to see you do well and want to see you get through this situation. There's a lot of people with a lot of resources out there that you're just 1 degree away from. You just need an introduction. You just need a connection. But without you telling them about or asking them for help, they don't know to be able to help you. So if you're going through tough times, find yourself a community. Get your head straight. Get back to the basics. Stick into the revenue line and get ready to do the work. Right? Tough times don't last. Tough people do. You can absolutely get through it if you follow this blueprint. So if there's anything that I can ever help you with, if you are dealing with some tough times, if you need a third-party perspective, go to Ask Tim Anything. I'm happy to offer some insights, offer some ideas, offer some strategies, make some connections for you, because I know it's not fun and it can be very, very lonely being an entrepreneur. And that's why it's so important that you stick to a community and you participate in a group that you can share and receive in. So hopefully this is helpful for you. I'd love to see your feedback in the comments below. Let me know how I can support you, how I can help you. And until next time, be your best.